The St. Louis Blues look to gain a couple more points in San Jose tonight as they are taking on the Sharks. And listen, I know what you're thinking. The Blues have been hot, but will the success continue? Well, I'm going to talk about that coming up here on Locked On Blues.
You're Locked On Blues, your daily podcast on the St. Louis Blues. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome back to Locked On Blues. I am your host of Locked On Blues, Haley Taylor Simon, where I talk to you all things about our St. Louis Blues. Here are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where you can listen wherever you get your podcasts and Sirius XM. On today's episode, I will be talking to you about the Blues and the Sharks and giving you the pregame per usual, which is what I like to do on game days for you. The West Coast road trip expectations, what I think the Blues will do out west. And finally, something new, I will be ranking the Central Division teams and basically seeing where they're at compared to the St. Louis Blues. So today will be a jam-packed episode, a fun episode. I am feeling a little bit under the weather today, by the way. So if I sound a little nasally, don't look the best, I do apologize. I had to drink a lot of tea before filming this episode today, so take that with a grain of salt. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. All right, the Blues are at the San Jose Sharks tonight for a 9:30 puck drop. And it's a couple hours away. It's a late night game. I believe this is the latest game that the NHL has going on today. Joel Hofer will be in net tonight, giving Jordan Binnington the night off. Benner had a 30-save shutout on Tuesday night against the Tampa Bay Lightning, which is unbelievable. This was Benner's 13th career shutout, his first of the season. So I'm really ecstatic for, Benner gaining all this confidence back, seeing him play the way that we've seen him play before. So I think that the more successful the Blues are in front of the net, definitely helps whoever is in net. So we've seen that confidence so far this season with Joel Hofer, who had a really rough start, not his fault, but bounced back. And yes, he had a shutout too a couple weeks ago. So it is good to see the players on the team really stepping up for these guys. So basically, head coach of the Blues, our chief, Craig Berube, said, "It's important to keep both goalies active. Hofer has played well, so we're going to keep the rotation going." I think this is really important that Berube is this vocal about what he's planning on doing. The lineup, yes, it's basically going to stay the same, and I will give you what the lineup will be. But this is something that the St. Louis Blues basically talked about in the beginning of the season, was using both of their goalies within Jordan Binnington and Joel Hofer. So, yes, it is obviously going to be more Benner dominated in net, which is no surprise. He is your starting goalie. But in games that are more winnable, because I don't like saying that this will be a definite win, while the Sharks have only won 2 games this season, they're still a National Hockey League team. Like, they're still professionals, and anything can happen in any given game. So I hate when people say things like, "Oh yeah, this is going to be an easy win." Okay, maybe it won't be as challenging, but I don't like the word easy, because once you use that word easy, it's kind of like when you underestimate a team and they end up playing really well, and then it's like, "Oh, okay, this is a little awkward." I don't like that. So this is a more manageable game, a more winnable game for the St. Louis Blues. But I think it's smart having Benner take the night off, have him rest, and put Joel Hofer in net and see what he can do. I like that. So this is the lineup. It will be RT, Robert Thomas, because it's always Robert Thomas season. And he will be winged by Buchnevich and Kasperi Kapanen. And then Schenner's line, and it will be Saad and Cairo. And then Hayes' line, Turchenko and Vanra. and then Sundqvist, Belay, and Neighbors. On defense tonight, we have Letty and Paracco, Krug and Folk, Scandella, and Scotty P. So it will be 100% a good game tonight. Now, will this game be a blowout? I don't know. I couldn't tell you. But I think after defeating the Lightning 5-0, that definitely does say a lot about the Blues. And the Blues have now won 3 games in a row and 5 of their last 6. And they really took November and made it their own. The Blues is 10 points since November 3rd. Are you kidding me? The Blues have been playing phenomenal, okay? And right now, I'm seeing a team that is truly on the up and up. The Blues have an 8-5-1 record, and they have 17 points, and they're still in 4th in the Central Division. Now, the other hand, let's go talk about San Jose and how they've been this season. They've struggled. They lost their first 11 games of the season before they defeated Philadelphia and Edmonton last week. The Sharks, they did lose Erik Karlsson, who basically is the best player that I think they've had in quite a while. And he won the 2023 Norris Trophy, and they also lost Timo Meier. So they lost a lot of guys that, and by a lot, I mean the 2 guys that were the best on their team. Okay. Yeah, the most recent loss they had was a 5-3 loss to the Panthers. And the funny thing, well, not like haha funny, but the funny thing is that the Sharks actually did have a 3-2 lead 7 minutes into the third period, but the Panthers were able to get on the board. So what exactly does that mean? It means that the San Jose Sharks are scoring again. That's how I took this game away. I always like to watch the game prior. So the team that we're playing, I like to watch their prior game. For me, it's one of those things where I like to see how these teams are doing. I think it's a good way to kind of see how they're going to match up against the Blues, right? So that's one thing I noticed about the Sharks is that they actually can put up some goals, and that makes me a little bit nervous, but yeah, I am still not too concerned. The Sharks will host St. Louis with a 2-13-1 record, 5 points, and 8th in the Pacific. Last season, the Blues went 3-0 against the Sharks, and I think that the Blues have a very good chance of winning tonight in San Jose. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say that, I don't know, that this is going to be like a 10-2 win or something. I think the Sharks will put up some points, but I wouldn't look at this game as a game that's probably the most challenging in this West Coast road trip. I would maybe say this game will definitely be a little bit more manageable because I don't like using the word easy. But when it comes to San Jose, I'm truly not extremely worried. Yeah, I think this is a manageable game. Now, as a fan, you want to be playing the San Jose Sharks right now. This is a game where you as a fan are like, okay, maybe the Blues will figure out their power play if they are able to get a power play. Maybe the Blues will be able to use this game and take it as an advantage in a sense of, hey, let's go work on some things. Maybe try some new things, but at the same time, I feel like I know Craig Berube well enough to know that that's not going to happen. So I could just see this game being, let's go stick to what we do best. Let's continue this, magic November and see what happens. But it is an interesting thing, though, right? Where you are playing a team in San Jose that has really struggled this season, but yet at the same time, it's manageable. And I don't know. I think the Blues would be kind of silly not to take advantage of trying out some new things. I'm not a coach. I'm just a fan. But the hockey in me is like, all right, let's try this. And it looks like Mackenzie Blackwood will be in net tonight for San Jose. And, he was a good goalie. I don't think he's like the worst team, but I don't know. The Sharks have lost their last 3 in a row. So hopefully that streak continues for them. I'm joking, not really, but I'm excited for the Blues and to see what they do. So as always, let's go Blues. And I'm going to tell you about my friends over at Game Time. Sometimes buying tickets can be the most frustrating thing in the planet. You see all these hidden fees, you don't know where you're going to be sitting, and it's honestly just one of the most stressful things. Well, luckily with Game Time, you can get killer last minute deals, all in prices. You can view from your seat, and the best price guaranteed. And it's only 2 swipes, and you're good. Personally, I love using Game Time because I like to save my money, okay? And I'm usually a very last minute person when it comes to buying tickets. So whenever I use Game Time, I take out my app, I see the best deal. I'm like, okay, wait, this is actually a good deal. I buy my ticket and then I show up to the game or to the event. And I think the thing about Game Time too is that you look at other ticketing sites and you can see how much money you were truly saving with Game Time. And, I feel like people try to really profit off of ticket sales lately. And Game Time is always so honest, they're so upfront, and they truly make taking the guesswork out of buying tickets so much easier. So I love my friends over at Game Time. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time and download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices, guaranteed. So the St. Louis Blues are shortly about to kick off their West Coast road trip, taking on the San Jose Sharks. But the St. Louis Blues are going to be out west for a little bit as they have some back-to-back games this weekend. They will be after San Jose. They have a nice off day on Friday tomorrow, but it's all these late night games because on Saturday night for another 9:30 puck drop, they will be at Los Angeles to take on the Kings. And then on Sunday for a 7 p.m. puck drop, okay, that's more up my alley, they will be in Anaheim to take on the Ducks. On Wednesday, November 22nd, they travel out to Arizona to take on the Coyotes. And then finally, next Friday, the 24th, it is the Battle of the Shens. Dun, dun, dun. And that will be a 3 p.m. game. That is a Black Friday game. No, it's a 2 p.m. game. Chicago's the 1 p.m. game. Basically, we're getting daytime hockey. Woohoo! I am excited about that one. I have to say, there's nothing I love more than spending the holidays watching sports. So for me to be able to watch my Blues during the daytime will be an absolute dream. I love it. But West Coast road trip, let's go focus on these 3 games ahead with the Sharks, the Kings, and the Ducks. What are my expectations and what do I think? I think that San Jose, the Blues should win. I do. I really believe that. The Los Angeles Kings, that's going to be a more difficult game. I feel like the Kings are just a very fast team, and I don't necessarily know if the Blues are going to be able to keep up with them. Being said, the Kings are not the best at home, but at the end of the day, I don't think that matters as much. I still think it's one of those things where I could see LA winning that one. Now, the Anaheim Ducks, sometimes they get a little hot, okay? And it kind of comes out of nowhere, but I still believe that the Blues are a more experienced team than the Ducks. The Ducks, I'm not saying that they're a strange team. I don't want to I'm not coming at Anaheim in any single way. But they are 9-7-0, and they're in 4th place in the Pacific. They lost to the Avalanche. That was their last game that they played, 8-2. We beat the Avalanche, don't forget. They won against the Predators, and they won against the Sharks. I am hoping that. lost against the Flyers and Penguins, and they won against the Golden Knights. So this Anaheim team, they are a team that can get hot. They have, obviously, when you beat the Golden Knights, you're being a team that is probably one of the best teams in the National Hockey League at the moment. So, yeah, there is some concern when it comes to the Ducks. Do I think the Blues will beat them? I think there's a good possibility, but it really all depends on what I see against the Kings. Since these are back-to-back games, I know this team too well to know that if the Blues put out an enormous amount of effort against the Kings, they're going to lose against the Ducks. I know this team too well to know that. I just know how these guys operate. So I'm hoping with obviously Hofer getting the start tonight, Benner will be able to play the 2 back-to-back games. But again, I wouldn't be surprised if Hofer played against the Ducks. I doubt it. I really do doubt that. But again, back-to-back games, they definitely make me nervous. It is not something that I always feel good about, but hey, at the end of the day, this is up to Coach Berube, and I'm going to have to trust him on this one a little bit, right? I mean, if you don't trust your coach, then what are you doing? Even though he's the coach of my team and he's not like my personal coach, right? Something like that. Okay. FanDuel. Score early this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 if your team wins. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. The app is so easy to use, and there's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. I also want to let you know when it comes to FanDuel, I love doing my 2-leg parlays. I usually don't do quite well if I do a 3-leg parlay, so I usually stick to the 2. Patty Mahomes throwing over 220 yards. And you know what? I'm going to be a little bit risky. Travis Kelce, anytime touchdown. Do that together. You're going to make some money. Usually that hits. Or you can do Patrick Mahomes throwing 2+ touchdowns with throwing over 220 yards. I like to bet on Patrick Mahomes. I feel like he's the most consistent guy to bet on. And obviously, we got to go for the hometown team. So, FanDuel.com/lockedon. I haven't done this before yet, where I talk about the Central Division. Obviously, this is the division, a little history lesson. If you don't know, the Blues playing. Oh my gosh, big news, I know. Why am I doing this? Why am I talking about the Central Division when the season still has a long way? Well, I am doing this just to keep you up to date with what's going around in the National Hockey League with the teams that you're basically competing the most against. So, right now in the Central Division, the Stars, they have 23 points with 11 wins, 3 losses, and 1 overtime loss. The Avalanche, they're 20 points. They're 10-5. And now the Jets, they're 8-5-2 with 18 points. So that is your top 3 teams right now in this Central Division. But underneath the Jets, underneath those sneaky Winnipeg Jets with 18 points are the 17-point St. Louis Blues, who are 8-5-1, 17 points, baby. And the Blues, well, they're on a 3-game win streak. Underneath the Blues in 5th, you have the 16-point Arizona Coyotes, who are 7-6-2. Underneath the Coyotes, you have the Minnesota Wild in 6th, who are 5-8-2 with 12 points. In second to last, you have the Chicago Blackhawks with Connor Bedard because, not working out so well this season. I mean, he's playing fine, but the team isn't. They're 5-8-0, 10 points. And then in last place in the Central is the Nashville Predators, who are 5-10-0 with 10 points. And they're on a 4-game losing streak. So the Stars, just to let you know, they have the biggest win streak right now in the Central with 4 wins in a row. And the biggest losing streak is the Preds that have lost 4 in a row. Okay. Woo, what is going on here in the Central? Well, I can tell you this. This is a very competitive division in the National Hockey League. I always make the argument that I think the Central sometimes can be the most competitive just due to the nature of how close all these teams are when it comes to each other. Obviously, I'm going to just say this. The Stars have 23 points. If you look at our friends in the Pacific, another Western Conference division, the Canucks and the Golden Knights, they both have 25 points. And just to give you a comparison, the Bruins, they have 26 points. And the Rangers in the Metro, they have 23 points. So what exactly does that mean? It means that there are some teams right now in the National Hockey League that don't know what it's like to lose. And why am I saying that? Because I have yet to ever see this many hot streaks take place. It's been quite a while since I've seen this many teams really be dominant. And while the Blues, they have 17 points, they are really not that far off from 23 points. And you kind of have to hope and wish for the downfall of some other teams, but it is such a long season. But I'm doing this now to let you know because I said at the beginning of the season, I could see the St. Louis Blues being a potential wildcard team. I still feel that way. I really do. But I also need the Stars and the Avalanche to continue to lose a little bit more. It's not impossible. The Blues are not in a bad position, but this is just a little check-in. Hey, this is where the Blues are at, as we know. But I know sometimes there's so much going on in life. It's not always the easiest to follow along with everything in the NHL. So I'm hoping when I do these check-ins, it allows you just to see what's going on, what teams to look out for. I think Winnipeg, and it's not that I think that they are going to continue to fall. They've only lost they lost their last game, and I know they beat us kind of badly, but I think that I could realistically see the Blues surpassing the Jets. I really do. But we'll see. I mean, this is a long season. Obviously, the Blues, they have a lot of things they need to work on. They're not to the Stars level. They did demolish the Avalanche, though. So I don't know. And then I get delusional because I'm like, oh, well, if they could beat the Avalanche, but I need to relax because long season ahead. All right, today was a fun episode. I apologize for being a little bit sick, but I'm excited to talk to you for an Are We Feeling Blue Friday and hopefully a Victory Friday. And like always, let's go Blues.